everyone, Britt here, and today I'm going to talk about another article I found on Thought Catalog. It's actually from a year ago, and it's entitled, "This is How We Date Now" by Varon. Now, since this was a year ago, I'm going to give Jamie a little bit of slack and hope that she's not only a better writer, but a better thinker. For the sake of the content of this article, I'm going to talk about this in present time, assuming that Jamie actually hasn't pushed herself and thought about these issues more, because unfortunately most of the contributors to Thought Catalog don't seem to be stretching themselves. All right, let's get started. Something really important to note about this article is that Jamie asks a lot of questions, and she doesn't actually answer too many of them. So I'm going to go ahead and offer some answers of my own, since she kind of left us hanging out to dry. Jamie suggests something pretty interesting, which is that maybe we should redefine romance. So one thing she suggests is that perhaps we delete Tinder off of our phone if we have an incredible first date with someone. I think you probably shouldn't be using Tinder in the first place, because my understanding of that app is it's for hooking up, not for making meaningful connections. So if you're using Tinder, Jamie, maybe that's part of the problem. Also, I'm wondering if maybe there's a problem here with you being a bit of a swim fan. If you're going on one date with someone and deleting your dating app after this one incredible date, you might be investing too much into that person. I think if maybe you don't take this step, you can avoid like 90% of everything else you mentioned in the article as a problem. But try it out, let me know. Maybe that'll work. One of the other things that Jamie mentions is that when we, as a young generation, choose to commit, we are still one wandering eye at the options. I'm not really too sure about what that means. I think what you mean to say here is that we have options, and maybe when we're dating someone, we're still looking somewhere else for the next best thing. That can be a good or a bad thing, I think, depending on who you're choosing to spend your time with in the first place and how good of a person you are to begin with. If you have high standards, it makes sense that you're going to be looking around for someone else who has high standards. You use this really interesting metaphor, again, with the metaphors, Jamie. You say that what we want is filet mignon, but we're too busy eyeing the mediocre buffet. I gotta ask, what's wrong with buffet? You gotta work yourself up to the first choice meat, Jamie. And since you blog for Thought Catalog, I'm kind of guessing you're on a budget. I would say start out at buffet level. Work your way up to the filet mignon. And once you get there, stop looking for other options. Once you get there, you're good. Nothing wrong with buffet. Love the filet. Why not both? Jamie starts to talk about unfulfilled dreams and options. Jamie, I have a feeling this is something you know a little bit about, considering I just saw you write another article on another useless blog a few days ago. So you mentioned we could be living super interesting lives, but instead we browse the internet and just dream of someday. There's nothing wrong with that. I like browsing the internet and seeing all these things I can't afford but hope to work really hard to get. I don't know how much Thought Catalog pays you, but maybe if you learned grammar and sentence structure, you could write for a blog that actually paid you a decent wage per word, and you could afford to take one of these trips and work on yourself and become a better candidate for dating. Intimacy. Jamie starts to tell us about our issues with intimacy and how they impact our current relationships. Now, I have to say, Jamie, there's a pearl in here, and I do happen to agree with you on some of the things you discuss in terms of portraying a perfect relationship on social media. So you say that once we, the younger generation, find commitment, the I love you happens, and we instinctually start to live for others. This is a problem. I agree that it happens, and it shouldn't, but it does, okay? And you identify something very important, is that when people tend to get into these relationships, they get hyper excited, they start to make it, Facebook official, which is a fun thing, but also very dangerous if you're the kind of person who's habitually changing partners, right? And you say people are posting happy Instagram photos and that they look shiny. And I agree, it's really annoying. I enjoy seeing happy pics of couples I know are happy. I don't like seeing the pictures of couples I know aren't happy, but there's an easy solution to that, Jamie, and I think you should do it. You should unfriend those people. Better yet, Have higher standards for who your friends are. If you're friends with people who make a habit of fighting one day and posting happy pictures the next, this person may be a weirdo. Delete them, and then your Facebook feed starts to improve, and eventually you see photos of people who are actually in happy relationships, or maybe just happy alone without a partner if they haven't found one yet, or like with their dog or their family or their friends or their hobbies or their job, or some people whose lives don't revolve around their relationships, because that's usually not a great sign of someone who's going to be contributing interesting stuff to your social media. How do I know that? Well, where do you think I found your article, Jamie? From someone I deleted. Jamie makes another sad but sometimes very true point in saying that, sometimes people aren't as happy as they seem on their social media. People aren't tweeting about their 3 a.m. fights, or the fact that their eyes are red because they've been crying all night because they're arguing and they're unhappy. And, I say to that, Jamie, let's push that last point a bit further. And just stop being in shitty relationships. If you're currently crying at 3 a.m. and your sheets are wet because you've been sobbing into them for the last 5 hours, get out of the relationship. Pursue yourself. Find cool things that interest you and take photos of that and post that on social media. Go ahead and take a picture of you on the top of a mountain from your favorite hike. You may be alone, but you'll still be shiny because you just hiked a long distance and you're sweaty. Jamie seems to have a real problem with the idea that people should want more. There's no problem with wanting more. Like, this is why I like a buffet, because once I put a bunch of stuff on a plate, I can go eat and I can come back and get more. I would like to have options to have more things on my plate, more things in my relationship, and I think it's kind of crap that people think that they shouldn't have more. Why don't you deserve more? Maybe that's really the problem here. If you don't think you deserve more, then maybe you're not ready to be in a relationship, and you should go on more hikes and work on yourself and pursue your values a little bit before trying to get a boyfriend. Jamie's final point is actually a pretty good one, but no surprise here, I think she's working through it in the wrong way. Jamie says that when we measure ourselves to others, we lose and we tend to get lazy, that we think trying hard is sending a good morning text or an emoji. Look, the only person you should be measuring yourself against, I think you agree with this, Jamie, is yourself. But look, here's the key. You've got to be a good you. Don't try to be this person you're not. Don't try to match this whiny, non-committal blogger I'm making fun of right now. Take a hint, girl. Do better. Try harder. Push yourself. Ask questions only when you actually want to know the answers, not when you just want to sound sophisticated on Thought Catalog. Here's the thing. You're on Thought Catalog. No one's taking you that seriously, and if you want them to, you've got to push it a bit harder. Answer your own questions and put some thought into it. Once you've started to do that, then you can compare yourself to the current best version of Jamie and work harder each and every day to get even better. Maybe, Jamie, if you do that, you'll get a good morning kiss instead of a good morning text.